money, and of course we've then had to pay for that in the form of higher taxes. You know, for example, business rates going up for small businesses, or employers' national insurance, which ends up getting passed on to workers in the form of lower wages. Labour and Starmer lied during the election campaign when they promised there were going to be no extra taxes. There are loads of extra taxes to fund all these.
Already crushed under sky-high taxes. Brace yourself, because what Keir Starmer has planned will make today's tax burden look like spare change. After betraying the very people who trusted him, Starmer has crowned himself Prime Minister for the unions, rewarding every strike with bloated pay rises, all funded by you, the ordinary taxpayer. And the nightmare isn't over. Behind closed doors, Starmer is now plotting another massive taxpayer-funded giveaway. So, who gets richer while Britain gets poorer? In this video we expose it. This isn't just a wave of strikes. It's a strategy. The merry-go-round of public sector disputes isn't an accident. It's how Starmer plans to rule: permanent chaos, endless hostage crises, and no solutions. Why? Because without this chaos, his hollow leadership would collapse instantly. Britain under Starmer isn't governed, it's extorted, every sector weaponized, every worker trapped, and every taxpayer left holding the bill. This isn't leadership, it's deliberate sabotage. Stay with us. The truth continues.
Morning, Mike. Well, that's right, we haven't. I mean, Labour already last summer gave massive inflation-busting pay rises to their trade union overlords without any sort of performance improvement in return, including that massive 10 grand pay rise for train drivers who already earn 60 or 70 odd thousand pounds a year, in some cases for a 4-day week. So they've already given out loads of extra money, and of course we've then had to pay for that in the form of higher taxes. You know, for example, business rates going up for small businesses, or employers' national insurance, which ends up getting passed on to workers in the form of lower wages. Labour and Starmer lied during the election campaign when they promised there were going to be no extra taxes. There are loads of extra taxes to fund all these massive pay rises, amongst other things, and that's before you even get to the possibility of further inflation-busting pay rises in the future, which only get paid for one way. They get paid for by everyone else coughing up higher taxes, and there is no question Labour have already lied before the election by saying.
Chris Philp has issued a chilling reminder. Labour has already handed out massive inflation-busting pay rises with zero reforms in return. We're talking about £10,000 raises for train drivers working just 4 days a week. That's not policy, that's bribery. Starmer didn't invest in Britain's future, he sold it to buy a short-term election win. And now reports say that since taking office, Starmer has increased public pay rises by £8 million every single day. Where did that money come from? The public purse raided to pay off union barons, who in turn delivered votes. And who pays the price? You, the ordinary taxpayer, the one who works hard, asks for nothing, and gets stuck with the bill. Let's be honest, this government wasn't elected. It was bought, through the oldest scam in politics. Loot the many to reward the few. And what makes it worse? Starmer promised the exact opposite during his campaign. But this isn't new. He's betrayed before, and he's doing it again.
Choice to have tax cuts for those that are earning hundreds of thousands of pounds is the right choice when our economy is struggling.
Rachel Reeves's £40 billion tax hike is the biggest daylight robbery in modern British history. Every promise about protecting working people was a lie, because the real plan to bleed workers dry while Labour's cronies walk free, untouched. Reeves once vowed not to raise taxes, but just like Starmer, she betrayed that promise the moment power was in reach. This isn't leadership, it's legalized looting, and the working class is paying the price.
So we've got to go out there, each and every one of us, and make the case for change, show that we're hungry for change. Decline is not inevitable. The cost of living crisis is not inevitable. Sticking plaster politics is not inevitable. There are choices to be made. We would choose to put 13,000 neighbourhood police on the beat, keeping us safe. Thousands more doctors and nurses trained so our NHS is fit for the future. A real cost of living plan that will help people with their prices, help them to get through and raise their living standards. There are choices on tax as well. We need to revive our high streets by cutting our business rates. And we need to be clear about council tax. Labour would freeze council tax next year using that windfall tax that hasn't been collected.
The NHS is just a human shield. Behind the scenes, the real operation is brutal and simple. Drain every penny from ordinary Britons, not to heal, but to fund Labour's elite in their silk suits and champagne-fueled dinners. They say it's about saving lives. In reality, they're bleeding the country dry. Before we go further, if you're finding this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more hard-hitting updates on the chaos reshaping British politics, because this story doesn't end here. According to Chris Philp, what Starmer has planned next will shock the nation.
And to make all of that even worse, Labour are also ramming a new law through Parliament that basically undoes all of the laws that Margaret Thatcher passed in the 1980s, making it harder to go on strike. So now, with this new law, Angela Rayner's new law passes, it'll be much easier for militant trade unions to go on strike.
Yeah.
It'll make it much harder for employers in the public and private sector to resist that. So we're going to see a load more strikes as well as a result of Labour's.
Repealing Thatcher's strike laws is Starmer's final gift to Britain's wreckers. It's now open season on the public. Under his rule, militant unions will have the freedom to shut down hospitals, schools, and public transport. And note 1, not the government, not employers, not even the public, will be able to stop them. Starmer isn't a bystander. He's the getaway driver. He has legalized economic blackmail against the very people who once believed in him. And when it comes to choosing sides, he will always back the strikers, not the sick child waiting for surgery, not the worker stranded without a bus, and not the family who just needs groceries delivered.
On the front page of the Mail today, they've got a story about the Quangos, and I mean, I must admit, whenever anybody talks about a bonfire of the Quangos, they always seem to sort of increase by a factor of 10, and I think you guys had problems with them as well. But for Labour, at least 350 bosses earn more than the Prime Minister, hundreds of fat cat public officials still employed by public bodies, somehow taking home over £100,000 a year. I mean, we don't need most of these bodies, do we? I mean, most of them don't seem to do very much.
The Quango explosion under Starmer isn't a mistake, it's the foundation of Labour's shadow regime, built in plain sight by quietly packing every public agency with Labour loyalists on six-figure salaries. Starmer is locking in power, far beyond the reach of voters, even if the public turns against him. Real control will remain hidden behind layers of bureaucracy, untouched by elections, unaccountable to anyone. These aren't civil servants. They're political landmines designed to sabotage reform, block oversight, and funnel taxpayer money straight into Labour's machine. Britain isn't just being overtaxed under Starmer, it's being systematically occupied. Recent reports show over 300 Quango bosses now earn more than the Prime Minister himself, and roughly 1,300 staff inside these unelected bodies are pulling in over £100,000 a year. This isn't governance. It's a hostile takeover, and taxpayers are footing the bill.
I would agree with that, and I think Labour, according to the Mail report, have created, I think is it 37?
Yes.
Or 27 new Quangos since the election, all of which are going to cost a load of money, which we are going to have to pay for in the form of higher taxes. Again, Labour lied during the election about not increasing our taxes. And there are two problems with these Quangos. One is the financial problem that you've referred to. They cost a whole load of money, which has to be funded by our taxes. But the second problem is more of a constitutional one, in the sense that very often these Quangos take decisions that frankly should be taken by democratically elected government ministers and by the democratically elected parliament. And by setting up all these Quangos and giving them power, not only does that cost a fortune, but it also is not democratically accountable. And we elect, political parties stand on a manifesto, make promises, get elected, and then sometimes it turns out they can't deliver those promises because the Quango has the power instead. So I think that's also fundamentally undemocratic, in addition to cost.
The damage Keir Starmer is doing isn't just financial, it's constitutional. In Starmer's Britain, the people no longer decide policy. Unelected, bloated quonks. Doan-es intentionally severed the chain of democratic accountability because he knows his leadership can't withstand real public scrutiny. So, you can vote all you want. But in Starmer's new regime, your vote no longer matters. Behind the scenes, a cabal of bureaucrats and Labour cronies in expensive suits are the ones truly running the country, shielded from elections, immune to consequences. This isn't democracy, it's bureaucratic dictatorship, and it's being funded with your money. And while they get richer and more powerful, vital public services, schools, hospitals, infrastructure are left to rot. This is not reform. This is a hostile redistribution of power away from the people and into the hands of an unaccountable elite.
Run councils up and down the country, all the analysis shows, deliver lower council tax and better services than Labour or Lib Dem run councils. We've seen, for example, in Birmingham, that terrible bankrupt Labour council not even collecting the rubbish piling up on the streets. You know, Conservative councils, by contrast, are much better run financially, lower council tax, potholes get fixed quicker, the rubbish gets collected more effectively. In the borough that I represent in Parliament, Croydon, just a couple of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, when Labour controlled it, they spectacularly bankrupted Croydon, and the Conservative Mayor, Jason Perry, is now having to fix that. So what we're saying to the public is, as you go to the ballot box on Thursday, just keep in mind that Conservative councils deliver lower council tax and better.
Chris Philp's comparison between Conservative-run councils and Labour-led ones like Birmingham is a chilling preview of Britain's future under Starmer. In places like Labour's Birmingham, we don't see leadership, we see collapse, rotting, rubbish in the streets, broken services, citizens abandoned. This isn't governance, it's plunder. And Starmer is proudly scaling it, from the local level to the national stage. Anyone still clinging to the illusion of change under Labour, you should walk through Birmingham today. That stench in the air. That's the real scent of Starmerism. It's now painfully clear. Starmer has no intention of fixing Britain, only to drain it dry, handing power to militant unions and anonymous bureaucrats who hold the real levers. Behind closed doors, every promise he made to protect working people, a calculated lie. Every tax hike, every failing public service, every lost job, it's all part of a cold, deliberate betrayal. And when asked if more taxes are coming, won't say no because he knows they are. Britain isn't being led, it's being strip-mined, one hard-working taxpayer at a time.
The Chancellor said, and I quote, "I'm clear, I'm not coming back with more borrowing or more taxes. I know that telling the truth to this House is important to the Prime Minister, so will he repeat his Chancellor's pledge now?"
Mr. Speaker, we set out our position at the budget that was just set out. We're fixing the foundations. We're dealing with the £22 billion black hole that they left. I'm not going to write the next 5 years of budgets here at this dispatch box. But, Mr. Speaker, we said we wouldn't hit the pay slips of working people. We passed the budget, we invest in the future, and
Do you believe Keir Starmer should be held directly accountable for the crushing tax burden now falling on ordinary people? After witnessing Labour's empty promises and blatant betrayal, do you still trust him with Britain's economy, or has the damage already been done? Let us know in the comments below. How long do you think Britain can survive under Starmer's regime of taxes, strikes, and broken promises? If you want to see more hard-hitting content like this, make sure to like the video, share it with others, and subscribe for more real updates on British politics as it unfolds. Stay tuned, there's more to come.